Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Bible story time. Tonight, we're diving into a tale from long, long ago, right after the Great Flood. The whole world had one language, and everyone could understand each other perfectly. Imagine that. Noah's family grew and grew, and soon there were towns and cities all over the land. One day, some people gathered in a place called Shinar. They looked up at the big blue sky and had a grand idea. "Come on," they said. "Let's build a city for ourselves, with a tower that reaches all the way to the heavens. This will make us famous, and we won't be scattered all over the world." They wanted to make a name for themselves, to be remembered forever for their amazing achievement. So they got to work. They learned how to make strong bricks by baking them in fire and use sticky tar for mortar to hold them together. It was a huge project, and everyone was excited. The animals watched, curious about all the commotion. Imagine little monkeys scurrying up the scaffolding, carrying small tools in their hands. Big, strong elephants might have helped carry heavy loads of bricks on their backs, their ears flapping in the breeze. Birds could have flown up high, delivering small supplies to the workers at the top. Everyone and everything seemed to be part of this massive undertaking. The sound of building filled the air, a constant hum of activity and ambition. Day after day, the tower grew, reaching higher and higher, a man-made mountain stretching towards the clouds. From their perch on the growing structure, the people would look down and feel so proud. "Look what we're doing," they'd boast. "We're reaching the sky all by ourselves. We're so clever and strong." The tower became a symbol of their own power and their own glory. They weren't building it to honor God. They were building it to honor themselves. Their hearts were filled with pride, thinking they could do anything without needing anyone, not even the one who created them. They believed their own hands could secure their future and their fame. But up in heaven, God was watching. He came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. He saw their incredible teamwork and their skill, but he also saw what was in their hearts. He saw that their unity was being used for a selfish purpose. Their goal wasn't to live together in harmony under his care, but to make a name for themselves and defy his plan for them to fill the whole earth. God knew that this kind of pride, this thinking that we can do it all on our own, would only lead to more trouble down the road. It wasn't about stopping them from building a tall building. It was about the attitude of their hearts. So God said, "Look, they are one people, and they all have one language. This is only the beginning of what they will do. Now, nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Let's go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other's speech." And just like that, something amazing and chaotic happened. One worker shouted up to his friend, "Hey, send me another brick." But his friend heard something like, "Go catch a yellow stick." The friend looked around, totally confused. A yellow stick? What for? Another worker asked for a hammer, but the person next to him handed him a bucket of water. Imagine the scene. It was total confusion. People were talking, but no one could understand a single word anyone else was saying. "Pass the mortar" might have sounded like, "Your goat is snoring." Laughter turned into frustration. Teamwork fell apart. The once organized construction site became a noisy, jumbled mess. Arguments broke out because of simple misunderstandings. The shared language that had united them was now the very thing that was driving them apart. The building ground to a halt. How could they work together when they couldn't even ask for a nail? The project was abandoned. The magnificent tower, the symbol of their pride, was left unfinished. Frustrated and unable to communicate, the people began to separate. Groups of people who found they could understand each other stuck together. And these groups started moving away, spreading out across the face of the earth, just as God had originally intended. They traveled in all directions, finding new places to live, and the animals went with them. Maybe the lions and giraffes headed toward the warm plains of Africa. Perhaps the pandas found their way to the bamboo forests of Asia, and the polar bears journeyed north to the icy Arctic. The world was filled with new languages and new cultures, all starting from that one place. That's why the city was called Babel, which means confused, because that's where God confused the language of the whole world. So, what can we learn from this incredible story? The Tower of Babel teaches us a very important lesson about pride and humility. The people of Babel were proud. They wanted to reach heaven on their own terms and make themselves famous. But God wants us to have humble hearts. He wants us to rely on Him, not just on our own strength and cleverness. Being humble doesn't mean thinking you're bad or useless. It means knowing who God is and who you are. It's about recognizing that all our talents and abilities are gifts from Him. The greatest example of humility is Jesus. He was in heaven with God, but He didn't build a tower to show off His power. Instead, He did the opposite. He humbled Himself and came down from heaven to earth to be with us, to serve us, and to save us. He showed us that the way up is to first go down. The way to be great in God's eyes is to be a servant to others. So instead of trying to build our own towers of pride, let's try to be a little more like Jesus every day with humble and loving hearts. Thank you for listening tonight. I hope this story reminds you that God has a wonderful plan for you. Have sweet dreams, and remember you are loved. Good night. And don't forget to join us for our next story.